Most people look at van life and think it is one specific thing. You sell or give away everything you have, you jump in a van full time, and you do it for the rest of your life on the road. But as I was talking to a friend of mine recently who was considering approaching this lifestyle, I realized that there are several different ways that you can approach van life, especially over 50, to make sure that it works for you. And I'm going to unpack them all in this video. Stay tuned. Here's what's true when you're over 50. We are going to always ask different questions, not just before van life, but when we're really considering any major transition. We have responsibilities. Many 50 plus people are what we call the sandwich generation. We may be caring for aging parents, part time or full time, while potentially still raising teenagers or helping children that are going through college. Some of us are in the empty nest stage where our kids are already grown out of the house and on their own, but we still have responsibilities, maybe to our community, to our jobs, to our extended families, to ourselves. A lot of us have houses. I know before I bought my van, 4 days before I bought my van, I sold my 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath house that I had lived in for 8 years. Before that, I had lived in a different house, the first house I ever bought, for 12 years. I had been a homeowner for 20 years. So it wasn't a, cavalier decision to sell my house and decide to get a van. But as we're going to talk about in this video, everybody does not have to sell their house to get into van life. We're going to talk about some of those other options in this video. But we do have places that we live, even for people that don't own a home. You may be renting, but it's still a household. You have all of the things that are in your household, all of your belongings. It's your furniture, it's your decor, it's the things you are storing, it's all your keepsakes. Those things are going to make us ask different questions. We also ask different questions when it comes to finances. Most people don't want to be making frivolous decisions about their finances in their 50s. Why? We have decades behind us, and some of us, many of us, have decades ahead of us, but our ability to maybe grow and thrive in our careers, for those who are working regular jobs, those options may be limited. There's a thing called ageism. There's also a thing called, if you've worked for decades, you don't want to have to start over. You may have been saving up. You might have a 401k. You've got retirement funds. We ask different questions about finances. That's another reason why our approach to van life is different. Our relationships matter. I think I mentioned a moment ago in this video, many of us are a part of what they call the sandwich generation. On one side, we may be caring part-time or full-time for aging parents. On the other side, we may be still raising older children. We may have kids in college, or even if we're empty nesters, as they call them, we may still be supporting emotionally and sometimes financially young adult children. Also, some of us are married or in long-term relationships, or we have mature friendships with the same gender, with opposite genders, whatever those things are. We have communities, we have hobbies. I'm a line dance instructor. When I thought about hitting the road full time, one of the things I knew I would miss is teaching my weekly line dancing classes. That was a part of my community. Those relationships matter. I have women that I'm in a group chat with who I love dearly. We would go out to dinner. We would go to social events. I had to think about those relationships when I was considering full-time van life. And I am not the only one over 50 that thinks like that. And then comfort and safety. When you're young, you take more risks. Usually young people take more risks. They haven't been through as many things. They don't recognize sometimes how dangerous life can be. And sometimes it's not even about the dangers of life, but a lot of times as older people, we get more conservative. We've been through a few things. And so we don't want to, we're going to ask different questions about comfort and safety. That's one of the main things I hear people ask, not only me, but other van lifers. How do we stay safe? So people over 50 ask different questions because we are further down the road in life. There are different risks that we are willing or are not willing to take. So even though I am a full-time van lifer, I just recently got on the road. I'm actually still finishing up things here in my van as we speak. Got a lot of things I'm finishing. There are people who see full-time van life and they like the idea of it, but they don't necessarily want to do that. They don't want to give up their home, sell their home like I did, and do this full-time, but they want to have that option. There are people who are weekend van lifers. Did you know that? There are people who still have their home, but they go out on the weekends or on, holidays or whenever they want to take PTO, and they go out in their van. I remember when I first started, well, not when I first started watching van life content, but once I decided, no, that could actually work for me. I thought I wanted to be a weekender. I wanted to get a van and go out like twice, 2, 3 times a month in my van. I still wanted to have my home. I still wanted to live in what we call a sticks and bricks house. Fast forward, I changed my mind. I decided I did not want the sticks and bricks lifestyle. But it's okay to be a weekend. You can do it part-time. Keep your house. Travel occasionally. Test out the lifestyle. Everybody is not as, I don't like to use the word brave, but I guess in a lot of respects, I am a brave person. I'm very confident and I'm willing to try things that other people are not. Don't think that van life is not for you just because you're not willing to sell your house, buy an empty van, build it out for several months, and hit the road full time. That's not the only option. I actually have some friends who own a large, I think it's a travel trailer, and they actually leave it at a campground and they take their truck and their children and they go up there every other week throughout the year, every other weekend rather. And they just camp on site. They don't travel in their RV. They just go up there and they stay in it over the weekend. And that's their version of RV life in their case. You don't have to do it any particular way. So you can get a van, spend the money on the van, whether you hire somebody to build it for you or whether you build it out yourself or whether you buy it already done, and it is worth it. I don't want you to think it's not worth doing if you're not doing it full time. It's worth everything you want to invest in the life that you want to live. If you want to spend big money and only go out twice a week, that is your business and it is worth it. You can be a weekender, you can do it part time, and that is a totally valid van life approach. Another approach to van life that is completely valid is to not sell your house, but rent out your house. So now you have that rental income. A lot of people are concerned about, hey, how am I going to make money if I live on the road? Maybe they don't want to work remotely. Maybe the role that they're in, the career they have, is not something you can work on the road. There are certain jobs that you can't do on the road. There are certain careers that, you have to be there in person to do it. Like if you are a roofer, sure, you can travel around and do roofs, but obviously you have to be in one place to work on a roof. You can't just get on a computer and put a roof on somebody's house, right? There are people who don't want to work on the road, but they're like, how can I make money? So you take that beautiful house you have, that 3 bedroom, that 4 bedroom, spruce it up a little bit, and you can rent it out on websites like Furnish Finder if you want to leave the furniture in there, or you can empty it out, rent it out, just on any rent.com type of thing, and have tenants that live in your house. You can also, like I said, things like Furnish Finder, you can rent it out to specific groups of people like travel nurses. You can also do Airbnb if you would like to be an Airbnb host and possibly have somebody to manage it for you so you don't have to be trying to do that from the road. But you don't have to sell your house. I chose to do that, but that is not the only approach. That gives you freedom to travel longer while still knowing you have a place to go back to. If you do it on a short-term rental situation, like I said, for travel nurses and other people of that nature, it can be a 3 month, it can be a 6 month. You can do a year lease, but make it clear to your tenants that I could be coming back after a year. And so I might not renew your lease, but you're welcome to stay for this first term. Whatever you want to do, you don't have to sell your house. You don't have to sell the stuff in your house. You can keep everything that you have and still do van life full time. You don't have to commit to forever in order to do van life. People ask me all the time, how long are you going to do van life? I don't know. I don't have to plan that. I could do it for 6 months and decide I want to get me a tiny home and live somewhere. I could do it for 10 years. I don't know. The good thing is I don't have to know. It is evolving. And your experience with van life can evolve as well. Now, the traditional version of van life that you see most times on YouTube and other platforms are people who got rid of most or all of their belongings and they're doing it full time. That's the approach that I took. But I love to share the multi-phase approach that I took with, and I'll share more of my story in other videos, but I want to share the multi-phase approach that I took to van life. As I said, I had a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house filled to the brim with my things. All 5 or 6 closets had my clothes and shoes in it. Nobody else was living there with me after the first, oh, I guess my daughter moved out about 5.5 years ago. She was there the first couple years, and then everything was mine. And so I had a lot of things, and these were nice things. This was not it was not hoarding. I had a beautiful home, lots of beautiful things, and I did not want to get rid of everything. I wasn't sure what that journey would look like. I wasn't even sure. I knew I wanted to build out my van because I wanted to have control over that process. I wanted to know everything about my van so that I can make repairs, so that I can have intelligent conversations with other people. And so that I knew how everything worked, right? But I didn't know how long it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be a years long thing, a year. And I have, again, some beautiful things. I have keepsakes. I did not want to just get rid of everything. I knew it was going to take me several months to build my van to the point where it was ready to put on the road. So what I did, I put my house on the market because I wanted the equity out of my house as part of my budget for living, for building the van, buying the van. So I sold my house, moved into an apartment, put all of my, well, most of my things, well, I won't say most of my things. I had, by the time I sold my house, I had actually sold quite a bit of my furniture, but there were some things I did not want to sell. Put them in a pod. Later on, I put them into permanent storage because the pod wasn't working for me. I didn't have the access that I wanted. Moved into a 1-bedroom apartment. Brought all of my things to the 1-bedroom apartment, even though it was furnished. I took all their linens out, all their dishes. I didn't want none of their stuff. Because if I'm going to stay a place for 7 months, you best believe I'm going to have my Cutco. I'm going to have my kitchen craft cookware. I'm going to have my linens, my towels, everything. I took everything out of their apartment except the furniture itself. And I lived there while I was building out my van. That allowed me to think more carefully and not feel rushed about what I want to get rid of or not. I did not let anybody shame me. Well, nobody tried to shame me because who's gonna check MJ, right? But nobody, I mean, I didn't let anybody shame me or what I saw online shame me into thinking I had to get rid of all my stuff to be a real van lifer. Because what I recognize is what is everything to some people is different from others. People that talk about getting rid of everything they have, maybe they don't have a lot of things. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't have a lot of nice things. Maybe they do. Maybe they're not into style like I am. You know, I love to put it on. I got shoes for days. Most of them are not here with me. I have clothes for days, hats, jewelry, glasses, all the things. I'm not getting rid of my stuff to live in this van. I don't want to look like I live in a van. I just want, I have to look like I live in a van. So I didn't get rid of things. I did get rid of some things. And living in that apartment for 7 months helped me to gradually get rid of more things and organize. I went from a big pod, actually, I had 2 pods, down to 2 indoor storage units that were 10 by 10, down to one 10 by 10 that is not filled to the brim. My clothes are still there. Many of my shoes and boots are still there for sure. A lot of my hats, my purses. I've got all of my photo albums, my keepsakes, some furniture that I didn't want to get rid of. It's still there. You don't have to get rid of all your stuff, okay? I sold a lot. I made thousands of dollars off of the things I sold, but I kept the things I wanted to. And I like to tell people that because at this age, we have a lot of stuff. I have way more stuff than, let's say, my 27-year-old daughter or my 32-year-old son. I have way more stuff. Well, yeah, I have way more stuff than them. I think my son likes to buy his special things in his apartment. He has a very lovely thing. So does my daughter. But I had a lifetime of stuff. You don't have to get rid of your stuff. I'm belaboring the point, but I want you to know that. Please don't think there's anything wrong with, you can put your entire house in storage. You can leave all your stuff in your house and not rent it out if you don't need the rental income. Leave your house like they have somebody check on it about once a week, keep it aired out. You don't have to do that. You don't have to sell everything to make the lifestyle valid for you. This is about finding a way to do this lifestyle that works for you. And I hope that gives you some hope. Okay. As I was talking to my dear friend, I was sharing with her that van life is not always the solitary lifestyle, the lonely lifestyle that people think it is. You are often alone if you are a solo traveler. But first of all, let me say there are couples out here on the road. There are whole families out on the road. When I discovered RV life, the first video that YouTube fed me was I think it was a 6-person family, 2 parents and 4 kids living in a huge Class A. That's when I first realized, wait a minute, people live in RVs and they're doing this with kids. They're doing this full time and loving it. That's what first opened my mind to it. So you don't have to go on the road by yourself. But here's the thing, you might not have a spouse or a partner that wants to go on the road. Just know that depending on your partner, you might do some of it together, some of it not together. There's a good buddy of mine who was I still consider her a van life, even though now she's in a season of being in her home. She was a married solo van lifer. Her husband was at home. He did not choose van life. This was her journey. She was on the road. They're still married, beautiful marriage, happy, even happier now that she's back at home. But you don't have to not do van life because your partner, you're married. If you're married, it might be a different conversation because married people do things together. But if you are in a dating relationship, even a long-term relationship, they don't necessarily have to go on the road with you, but they can. I've also seen van lifers. I don't want to say the van lifer's name in case I'm wrong about it, but I feel pretty sure that she and her boyfriend are both solo in their specific rigs, but I think they travel around together. Because let me keep it a buck with you. This van is built for one. I don't know how couples with dogs live in vans this size. Everybody doesn't have the full length Sprinter van, 170-inch wheelbase. People are living in vans like this together. I know it can be done, but yeah, I don't know where somebody else's stuff would go long term. But anyway, I digress. You can be in a van and travel with another person in a separate van. It doesn't have to be in a love relationship either. It can be friends. There's another YouTuber. I think it's Where is Tiffany. I love her content. I think she travels around some with other solo female, maybe they're not all female van lifers. They just all are in their vans and they go places together. It's not a lifetime commitment. I'm sure there's times when they break off and they go separate places, but it's nice to say, hey, let's go up the West Coast. We're going to go from, Arizona all the way through California and go up to Oregon and Washington State together. It can be that way. Just know it's not it doesn't have to be the solitary lifestyle that you might think. It can be a very rewarding and community-based lifestyle. Yes, we're on the road, but there are so many events. There are so many people you will meet. I have met so many people. I met them since when I was just building my van. It wasn't even on the road. I feel like I have a community of people, some of which I've spoken to in real life, some of which I have met in real life that are like, man, when you get on the road, come see me here or there. Let's meet up. Let's do this. Let's do that. There's a community out there. I'll talk about this more in another video, but van life doesn't have to be this go, 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 always on the road lifestyle. I do, or I plan to do, because I'm still new to being on the road, slow travel. Right now, I'm in Houston, staying with a friend while I finish up more stuff on my van, and I'm enjoying Houston. Got some line dancing classes lined up. Got some other things. I want to actually visit Houston. I've never actually visited and really enjoyed it the way I want to enjoy it. So I'm here for a few weeks. Then I'll go somewhere else and stay a few weeks. It can be longer than that. Some people like to keep it moving every few days. No way is right or wrong. There are some van lifers that don't move at all. They just choose to live in a van because it's a convenient and a low cost lifestyle. There's a girl, a woman, Samaya. Oh, I talk about her a lot because I love what she's doing. She spends time, she lives on a piece of property owned by a family. They barter. She does things for the family. They provide things for her and her son. Her son goes to school. He also spends time with his father. When he's with his father, sometimes Samaya goes and does some solo traveling or not. You don't have to even take your vehicle on the road if you don't want to. Know that van life does not have to be on the road. There are people who live in vehicles and they work day to day regular jobs. They just sleep in a vehicle. and have all their belongings in the vehicle. You don't have to do it any one particular way in order for your van life experience to be legit. So, traveling as a couple, solo traveling together with me, I would get together with a group of women and go around. I haven't done it yet, but I plan to. Or going with just your regular, making new friends and going around, staying with friends. All of these are options. This is a huge, I don't want to say misconception, because some of what people are seeing and assuming about van life is true when it comes to the cost. The cost of having a van, whether you do it yourself, build it out from an empty cargo van, whether you buy one already built out, or whether you hire a builder, the cost realities are there. And as a person over 50 or even under 50, those are things that can affect whether you do it and how you do it. And just know that you have options. DIY can be, I've seen videos where people said they got on the road in their van for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 because they didn't want a super fancy build. There are people that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on their vans because they want all of the top, features and things of that nature, the amenities. And then it runs the gamut. I should know this number. I think I spent, and I'm gonna do a video. Comment below if y'all want a video about exactly what I spent to DIY my van so far. But I think I paid 36,000 something for my van. It was 2 years old at the time. And it was the one I wanted, so I bought it. And then I've spent, I think, at last tally, which I tallied up at the beginning of January, was about $12,000 or $13,000 I had spent on the materials in my van to build it out. So that's not a super expensive build. That's less than 50 grand. I think it's going to stay under 50 grand. So it runs the gamut. You can buy a pre-built van, a van where you hire a builder to do it for you. They can do it for you in a few weeks. I've seen 10,000, I've seen 20, I've seen, like I said, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It runs the gamut. Everything doesn't have to be the $200,000 van. I probably would never spend that on a van just because it is a vehicle. Yes, it's a home, but if I'm gonna spend that, I'd rather have a piece of real estate. There are people that do no build builds where they're not actually doing what I did, putting wood and screws and insulation and all this wiring and stuff, doing all that. They don't do that. They get them a Jackery power thing. They put some storage bins in there and some chairs, just like loose stuff that you would use in a house. Put it in their van. They're on the road. I chose an approach that took me several months because that's what I wanted. I wanted a few little bougie things in my van, but you don't have to do that. You can just get a van. There are people that live in their van with no insulation, with just in there, just in the metal box, but they're on the road and they're happy and they're going to build it as it goes. Just know you have multiple options of the way that you can do van life to make it work for you. Don't think it's got to be 100,000, 200,000. It doesn't have to be that. It could be as little or as much as you want. You're over 50 or you're under 50 and you have those options. The biggest takeaway I want you to get from this episode is that you can do van life any and many different ways. Just depends on what kind of lifestyle you want. The best advice I can tell you is to look at your current lifestyle, think about the non-negotiables that you don't want to live without, and then look at all the new things that you want to experience in your life, and then build your van life experience around what you want, not around Instagram reels, not around what I'm doing with my van. Don't think you have to DIY just because you want to save money. You can have a pre-built van that's inexpensive. You can have a hired builder that's inexpensive. You can also spend as much money as you want to. You can travel solo. You can travel in a group. You can travel as a couple. You can never travel. You can travel constantly. You can travel slow. The options are there for you. The right version is whatever fits what you want out of van life. Don't try to tailor your experience based on what other people are doing. Make it work for you. I am so excited to see more of you out here on the road doing van life the way you want to. And until next episode, stay free.